Salamun ala man ittaba'al huda. A'udzu billahi minasyaitonir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillahillazi lam yattakhiz waladan wa lam yakul lahu syarikun fil mulki wa lam yakul lahu waliyyun minadh-dhulli wa kabbirhu takbira. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la syarikalah lahul mulku wa lahul hamdu yuhyi wa mumitu wa huwa ala kulli syai'in qadir wa ashhadu anna muhammadan nabi wa rasuluh sallallahu alaihi wasallam la nabiyya ba'da. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala hadzal nabiyil karim wal ummi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi adkhilni mudkhala sidqin wa akhrijni mukhraja sidqin waj'alni min ladunka sultanan nasira. Rabbi israh li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi a'udzu bika min hamazati syayatin wa a'udzu bika rabbi an yahdurun. Hello dear viewers, I want to talk about the problems around heritage in Minangkabau land. In one occasion, watching a talk show on Islamic spiritual nourishment in a national private TV station in Indonesia, there was an audience who asked the keynote speaker. She said that she's a descendant of Padang or Minang, both of her parents originating from Sumatra Barat province. The core question is, she felt confused to put herself on the wealth legacy of her parents. She said that in Minangkabau doctrine, inheritance is passed down through generations, fall to the women line in the family, and the male ones do not get the part, whereas all of her brothers insisted to get their rights of the heritage and shared in the accordance of Islamic law. Luckily, the host resource wisely can answer that question with a direct solution to the wisdoms in sharing inheritance in Islam or Faraidh book. I'm quite concerned to hear the woman's expression and hummed. This is the occurrence when Minangkabau people or the descendants of this unique race ancestry in across the nation have only a very superficial insight, even mistaken about the cultures in Minangkabau, especially in the nature of sharing inheritance. As a result of the misguided of the ones like this, their brothers or the male member in their family eventually become the victims and oppressed due to their ignorance. More unfortunately again, the wrong way of viewing like this has spread to those ones who are in the reality not Minangkabau people, which ultimately will brand greedy to the women in Minangkabau family in the case of inheritance. So how exactly the nature of sharing inheritance among Minangkabau customs, on whom some people assumes they came from the top of Merapi volcano in Sumatra Barat? In Minangkabau tradition, there are two kinds of inheritance: high inheritance and low inheritance. High inheritance is the heritage acquired hereditary by the women in a Rumah Gadang, the traditional house in Minangkabau. Such property is, if traced toward the base, purchased or arranged by the family ancestors to feed their nieces who inhabit the house, the traditional house, including also in it to finance the operations of the unique-shaped house maintenance. Low inheritance is the legacy from both parents, no matter one between the two or both, or it could be left by the relatives, children, grandchildren, so forth. Anyway, the heritage of this one is the kind of estates which should be shared according to Islamic law, which are all clearly written in the book of Faraidh, a part of science of Fiqh or Islamic law, which deals with the technical sharing of inheritance for Muslims, particularly for those who still have ghirah or pride themselves as Islamic people. As I have stated about the high legacy, the property inherited by the ancestors of a Rumah Gadang aims to feed the offsprings who inhabit, turn, treat, keep, or prosper the house that had been built. The treasure once was such as a binding for their descendants in order to not go down or left from the house that had been built with great difficulty together with their tribes when they were alive. Maybe even with numerous people in a nagari, a traditional village of Minangkabau. Thus, there is no reason for a sister, aunt, niece, or relatives of the home inhabitants for envy and jealousy with this condition, for it had been the rights to those who inhabit the house. If in some condition they want to get a share of the outcomes of the legacy, they have to live in the house. It is also one of the reasons why many chiefs' clans in many villages or nagari as well in this domain, which strictly prohibits their people to marry the men from outside of their region. Because if this happens, their nieces or their daughter will be at risk to be brought down by her husband from the grand house where they were born. In more extreme cases, not the least, the chief clan recalled this higher legacy from the women who used to come from the grand house but do not care anymore with their native land. For some Rumah Gadang that have quite a lot high heritage, in some nagari in Minangkabau, usually the family or the people concerned shall appoint a foreman. In Minang, we call him Datuk for their community. For the cost of the ceremony, it will be taken from the high heritage. And after the Datuk is officially appointed, he is given some land on the high heirloom family of origin to sustain his life as a chief. So going forward, he does not need to beg for money to his nieces or relatives to undertake the cost on everything that he will do for his people. And if one day he dies, the inheritance is to be returned to his family again, which appointed him before, to reveal to the next leader or his nephew that replaced him. That is, the high heritage in the hands of this man is in the status of right of use, not ownership. That go around at one point he was selling when pressed by their financial needs. So far, it can show that high heritage has vital roles in sustaining the life of Minangkabau people in their homeland. At this time, many grand houses in the villages or nagari in Minang realm of empty, mold, and finally collapsed because of not being prospered, occupied, and maintained. One reason is the envy and the jealousy as mentioned above. They seek every means to make their sisters or relatives, those who have been painstakingly prospering and maintaining the grand house in the village, to leave their feet from there, one by telling to the world their rations or their rights to the rooms at the house that was particularly built in a sacred, the rooms in which no one knows will be occupied by them. The grievous one is, at the time this home is really led to them to hand over, it turned out they cannot do anything to maintain the existence of everything that then end up with their vanity. Suppose the ancestors who founded the house could revive, I believe they would condemn all acts that waste all their efforts is. For those who still have hearts to this Rumah Gadang, they will make every effort to make this type of house can still stand up straight to show the existence of their families to the world. If there is no chance for them to do it, they will try to pay someone else to take care of it, and if necessary, perform a total renovation of the grand house to be much firmer, and of course to realize all of that, the major fund for the house has to be taken from the high heritage of the house concerned. But for those who have no longer hearts and have faces like the front walls, they casually and without burden of shame and reluctant to pound, even sell all the higher legacy, including the grand house, in their own greedy desires to hold the high inheritance owned by their families. Broken kinship because of this kind of greed. For these people, their relatives are money and possessions, the things that will surely be left behind if they close their eyes forever. It is very embarrassing if the outcomes of the high heirlooms are used by those who claim to be Minangkabau people to feed themselves and their families away from their homeland, while they were wasting their grand house in their kampong. They are looking anyways for how to make themselves and their descendants as well can possess the heirlooms fully, no longer share with others. In exemplification, by going to or paying the court to certifying the property to be their own. They love uproariously enjoying the toil of their ancestors along with their children and grandchildren that they themselves do not ever know anymore with their parents or her grandmother's homeland. In fact, for most people like this, the children or their successors' generation was never told of their origins is unclear. So do not be surprised if they are asked what his tribe or his datuk. They will not be able to answer the questions. The polemics about the inheritance of this reason make a lot of the men of Minangkabau go away from their homeland, leave their village, and never come back again. Never come back anymore, any longer. To spend their life in other regions or countries. Many of them feel that they are considered not existing in their family, viewed only like such security guards. When talking about the right to the inheritance, it is the space for the women. But if the women are tripped in problems, then the men are presumed to exist, complained, and viewed them as great figures. Now we come to the realm of low heritage. Property which is inherited by one or both parents, or it could be those who have blood relation with the dead in accordance with the rules set up by the book Sharing of Inheritance for Muslim People or Faraidh book. The most commonly known is that the son's portion is 2 times the quota that should be obtained by the daughters. And if this quota has reached the hands of the respective heirs, of course it will become their property. It's up to them to do anything against their quota, whether to manage it, pound, sold, or even donate it to the people in his willing. Conflict usually occurs when there are efforts on the part of women's inheritance to buy time fastening in dividing the estate of this type, with a variety of reasons which made up. This condition is negative intrigues carried out to increase the height of their family heirlooms. In short, if it is found the problem in high heritage, return it to the principal function of the heirlooms. And it is found the problems with low heritage, return to Allah and His Rasulullah by looking back at the chapters of Faraidh book in Fiqh. Hopefully useful, dear viewers. Thank you for your attention and listening to me from the beginning until the end. See you in the next video.